If you were with us an hour ago here on France 24, we were saying that there's quite a lot of confusion around today. Confusion here in the office, confusion amongst economists, confusion amongst politicians. Is Greece still in the eurozone or not, is the big confusion, isn't it?
It is the big confusion. It's a fair question to ask you, particularly when at the top of Europe, if you like, the top of the tree, nobody really seems to know right now. Just a few days ago and over the weekend, the European Central Bank, we had key officials there on the board talking about the possibility of Greek exiting the euro and talking it up, really, saying it might not be quite as painful as it might have been a year ago. They're essentially setting out a strategy for Greece to exit the euro. And yet, fast forward 24 hours into yesterday evening, we had Europe's finance ministers meeting, and some very, very strong language from their leader saying it's not even on the agenda. They didn't even discuss the possibility of a Greek exit. All adds up to an extremely confusing situation for investors and for the markets. Shirley Sitbon has the details for us.
There are no plans for a Greek exit from the euro. That's according to Eurogroup President Jean-Claude Juncker.
I don't envisage, not even for 1 second, Greece leaving the euro area. This is nonsense. This is propaganda, and we have to respect the Greek democracy.
Yet European leaders are clearly getting nervous. Once taboo, a Greek exit from the euro is now openly discussed at the European Central Bank. One of its governors told the Financial Times over the weekend that such a divorce is possible. For now, EU leaders are waiting to see the next Greek government and if it sticks to austerity.
We have an agreement with the Hellenic Republic, not with one political party, and therefore I'm confident that also the next government will fully comply with this. Otherwise, of course, we could not give further financial assistance, but we are not there.
Greece is dependent on its international lenders, the EU, the IMF and the European Central Bank, to pay its bills. Current calculations say it could run out of money as early as next month if it doesn't receive more funds. In order to keep getting money, Greece has to follow its lenders' bailout plan. But the man who holds the key to the creation of the new government is radical left leader Alexis Tsipras, whose party received 16.67% of the vote, and he is against austerity. The Greek crisis has hit markets across Europe and at home, with shares closing down, while the euro has hit a 4-year low.
Just staying with the eurozone, Stuart, worth noting as well that while all that was happening, Moodys was downgrading once again Italian banks. They're right back in the frame this time. UniCredit, Intesa, two of the big Italian banks, were among 26 downgraded by Moodys, saying Italian banks are particularly vulnerable to adverse operating conditions, which are likely to cause further asset quality deterioration, as if we didn't know that already. Italian banks are particularly vulnerable right now. They gorged on lots of cheap credit at the start of the year, Stuart, and they now hold around 267 billion euros of Italian debt. The interest rates on that are going up to nearly 6%, so the exposure to Italian banks is increased. So you can see why Moodys feels the credit outlook for these banks is not very good right now.
And presumably all of this feeding all the way through into the markets.
Absolutely. The Asian market's taken the brunt of those losses and those concerns this Tuesday. The Nikkei trading down around 0.7%, well below 9,000 points. Hasn't been above 9,000 points for a couple of weeks now. Strangely, though, the Hang Seng is managing to find a few gains, around 0.25% in the green, as you can see there.
Let's pick up on a little bit more company news headlines now, shall we? And the French cosmetics group Coty has abandoned its $11 billion takeover bid for Avon. Coty said Avon, the world's largest door-to-door cosmetics seller, of course, had missed a deadline to begin talks. Coty, whose brands include Rimmel and Calvin Klein fragrance, had revised its bid with financial backing from Warren Buffett. Avon, which has lost a third of its market value amid disappointing results, enjoyed a 4% rise in its share price following Coty's withdrawal.
Yahoo has cut part of its severance package, with Scott Thompson, the chief executive, forced to quit after making up part of his CV. The US internet search engine cancelled $19 million in stock options, bonuses and salary that Thompson was due to receive. He quit after just 5 months in the job. That was after a key shareholder discovered he'd fabricated his degree. It's since emerged that Thompson told the company he was leaving after being diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
And Kodak is trying to auction off its patents for up to $2.5 billion to try to stem the losses from its bankruptcy. The US photography firm has until the end of June, in fact, to submit details of who is bidding for a range of patents relating to digital images. Kodak, which pioneered modern photograph developing, went bust in January, having racked up nearly $250 million in losses during 2011.
Now then, the corporate jet market is often seen as a bellwether for the economy. When the economic skies are blue, then generally corporate jet makers are also pretty buoyant. But manufacturers are trying to find a way to beat that trend. That's by expanding across Asian economies where the thirst for corporate jet travel is really starting to take off. And that's giving the European Business Convention in Geneva quiet confidence right now as it gets underway. Our correspondent Félicien Joannet flew there in a private jet, of course, to see what all the fuss is about.
The flight from Paris was in a Falcon 7X made by Dassault. It can fly to Tokyo or Los Angeles without refueling. We get to Geneva in 44 minutes. All the main manufacturers are here at the European Business Aviation Convention, though their thoughts are elsewhere.
China is the new frontier for the private jet sector generally, and for Dassault in particular. It became our #1 market last year. We are currently developing our presence significantly in Beijing. That's so we can work for the future in what should be a major market for us in the years to come.
Dassault for the moment has no plans to manufacture in China. The Chinese are known for copying technology. The Brazilian firm Embraer believes China is aiming to carve out some of the business for itself.
I wouldn't say copying. I think China wants to develop its own aircraft over a period of time. We've delivered more than 120 jets into China since we started business there 12 years ago. So the relationship has been a very good one.
The Brazilian manufacturer is selling this jet at $30 million. It's using Jackie Chan as part of its sales pitch. Also in the corporate jet market, Airbus. The price, around $80 million for a converted passenger plane.
We put a karaoke machine on the first plane we sold to China. We can also install a round banqueting table, the kind Chinese like. A round table for 6 becomes a square table to play mahjong, which they like to play a lot.
China's latest 5-year plan says it'll be the #1 market for private jets.
Now, just before we came on air, Stuart, I was intrigued, having seen Jackie Chan in that report, to check his age. He's 58. If 58? I can jump around on the wings of private jets when I'm 58, I'll be very happy. Of course, important story there, particularly for corporate jets. A lot of these manufacturers that you heard there, Embraer from Brazil, Dassault as well, the French aviation manufacturer, they make their bread and butter from defence manufacturing, and yet they've had a rocky year between them. Embraer lost a contract for around $400 million with the US Air Force. Dassault as well, we know the story there. It struggled to sell the Rafale jet around the world. It has just tied up a deal with the Indian Air Force to resupply their Air Force to the tune of around $15 billion. But it's only got preferred bidder status. It can all still go wrong. They haven't actually signed on the dotted line yet. So you can see why they need to diversify into markets like China, where we've got this trend for corporate travel taking off.
You're just jealous, really, aren't you?
I
because
am jealous.
We're next to the heliport here at France 24, and Owen has to come in by helicopter in the morning. There's not quite room for his private jet. Is that true?
Not yet. Yeah, well, I understand they are going to build some sort of airport for me one day. I can dream.
Good stuff. Maybe you never know. That's it from us. Latest news coming up. Stay with us if you can.